Hey guys, on this week's show, powered by our friends at Thrifty Traveler, I'm just back from 18 hours in Marrakesh, where Richard and I discuss my time walking through the Medina, the riad that I stayed in, and whether or not Morocco should be on your list. Since Richard is back, we're also catching up on all the Bilt news, including the new Rakuten partnership, and whether you're going to be able to earn points on your mortgage starting next year. All that on this week's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to the Miles to Go podcast. My trusty co-host is back in his chair with roughly the same amount of hair as the guy who was with me last week. Mr. Kerr, it's good to see you.
Good to be back in the chair, man. Life takes twists and turns, and everybody's going to wonder what's going on, and we're just going to leave it. No, I'm just kidding. There's nothing to chair. It's just been really, really busy times. Nobody has anything to worry about. But life in New York City is busy, man. How are you?
Yeah, I mean, life is busy for me too. But I'm pit stopping at home for, 80 something hours before I head out again.
Are you ever gonna be home, dude?
Yeah,
I had to tap out of this. No, you're not. I had to tap out of that road warrior life for a little bit, even though it is picking up. I'm supposed to go to Europe next weekend for a long weekend trip, and then we're off to Florida for a cruise, and then December's worked. Anyways, I've enjoyed not being in airports too often.
Yeah, I mean, knock on wood. Fake wood.
Yeah.
I had
Pressboard.
I had no delays going to Europe and coming back, and you know how bad things have been out there. And even with the government shutdown technically over, we're still seeing a relatively high level of ugliness.
Domestic flying is just the worst, most miserable thing ever, which is, as I still am supposed to fly to Ireland in 4 days from recording, I have not booked a flight because I'm still waiting to see how things are shaking out. I do have a hotel, but I have no flights.
Yeah, I had to book myself up for the rest of the year because, some of the fares to Vegas are just, nutso. I'm looking at $1,000 one way in coach. Fly to Vegas. It's
that's not the punitive one-way pricing that all the airlines are doing now?
Nope. We've hit convention season in Vegas. And
yes.
Things are messy. A little bit of housekeeping. We're gonna talk a little Marrakesh and some Bilt updates. This week's show, again, powered by our friends at Thrifty Traveler, which we'll talk about more in a little bit. But if you want to reach us, you can text us or leave us a voicemail, 571-293-6659. Ed at pizzainmotion.com if you want to shoot us an email. He is at CurPoints on all those social media channels. I am at Pizza in Motion. So let's talk a little Marrakesh, and then we'll talk a little Bilt stuff. As I recall, you have not been.
No, but I have a lot of stereotypes that people have told me, and I've had some coworkers go recently, so I want to hear you hopefully debunk all the stereotypes that it is a bit of a madhouse outside of whatever very nice hotels are there. And that you can get, the hawkers are aggressive, I guess that was what I've been told. But I've told the surrounding landscape and everything is beautiful, but it can just be a bit chaotic if you step outside the walls of your hotel.
Yeah, growing up in New York and haggling, I actually kind of like that part of it. But let's get into all of it. The reason for Marrakesh for me, I have a conference I go to every year in Lisbon, or most years. And I always try to find a place to jump off for a day or so if the fares allow it. I've been able to explore Porto and the Azores, had great times on some of those trips, and I'm just looking for someplace new. And, if you look at the map, most people don't think about Europe and Africa being all that close together, but, it amounted to like an hour and 40-minute flight from Lisbon to Marrakesh. And so I had, just the way the fares worked out, it was actually cheaper for me to fly a day earlier. And so I flew United over, booked it as a round trip, and then just nested 2 one-way flights to get to Marrakesh. I now consider myself an EasyJet Pro because I've now flown EasyJet 3 times. And
Pro.
Yeah. What I can tell you about EasyJet is, contrary to what some other people believe, it's easy. And it's pretty basic and straightforward. The seats feel like most of the coach seats I sit in. They don't recline. If you spend a little bit of money for the bulkhead row, it's, plenty comfortable. I thought the thing was interesting. Like on Ryanair, you can't even get a full-size carry-on bag anymore. They just won't let you bring it on. EasyJet will let you bring it on for a fee. And so I bought the package that allowed it. And I have my bigger Briggs & Riley bag, which is like a domestic carry-on. Nobody took a second look at it. They didn't weigh it. They didn't take nothing. And so easy on the plane with it. I just want to illustrate how incredible of a travel expert I am. In Lisbon, you got 2 terminals. You got the big main terminal. Have you ever flown through Lisbon?
Never been. It's a shame.
Okay. It is a shame because the food there is freaking incredible. We'll talk about that next week. At any rate, the big main terminal is where all the main carriers fly out of, and then they have Terminal 2, which is essentially like a big tin shed around the other side of the airport, and that's where all the low-cost carriers fly out of. So landed in Terminal 1, grabbed my bags, cleared immigration, took the bus over to Terminal 2, tried to walk first, realized you can't walk, took the bus over to Terminal 2, and that's when, as a bona fide travel expert, I realized that not all of the low-cost carriers leave out of Terminal 2, and I needed to hoof my ass back to Terminal 1 because EasyJet flies out of Terminal 1. So I made a bad assumption.
Come on, Flighty, letting you down, or did you just not check it?
No, Flighty actually worked for international flights this time. I was surprised. It was actually really accurate. I just didn't bother to check it because I was 100% sure that all the low-cost carriers left from Terminal 2. So waste a little bit of time there, not the end of the world. So Marrakesh, there are some really high-end properties there. Park Hyatt and Fairmont and stuff, but those are sort of outside of town. The old town area is called Medina or Medina. I don't know how to pronounce that one. I should have checked it before we hopped on. And so I chose to stay there. There was a Mr. and Mrs. Smith property, which has an affiliation with Hyatt, that I chose. There are a bunch of what they call riads in this old town area. And, these are, for lack of a better term, they're sort of like, the Moroccan version of a B&B. They're, not a ton of rooms. They're usually run by some sort of a family. The service is very personable. And, I definitely found it to be that way. I emailed the hotel a couple days before departure and said, hey, I only had like 18 hours on the ground. So I said, all right, can I get transport? Because I'd heard it was a little difficult to get to the hotel. The property I chose was the Riad Le Frenacci, which is just north of the main square, like on the edge of the Medina. And the main square is the Jama El Fana. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too much.
We're just dominating these pronunciations here.
Dominating.
Keep going. Don't stop. Keep going.
Clear. Old white guy tries to pronounce anything forward. And so I got to the airport. There was a sign waiting for me outside. There were a lot of people waiting for rides and a lot of folks picking folks up. 20 minutes to the hotel. Interestingly enough, once you get to as far as cars can go, there's probably like an 8 to 10 minute walk from there to the hotel. And there's a guy who greets me in uniform where the car just pulls over on the side of the road, and it's very hectic. Open markets, people are slaughtering chickens and they're cutting sides of lamb and stuff like that, and it's very active. And they go to grab my backpack and my suitcase and put it into this little like rickshaw thing they're going to push it with, and of course like the New Yorker in me kicks in. I'm like, and they're like, no, I need the backpack. That's gonna And the guy very politely tried to wrestle it out of my hands most of the walk, and I'm like no, the backpack is staying with me. Get there. They walk me to my room. Like there's no check. There's no front desk or anything like that. He just, walks me past this beautiful little pool into the room. The room was incredible. I got some video of it that we'll overlay here for folks who are watching on video. Picture like a U-shaped room, and in the middle of the U was like a private outdoor, solarium, if you will, open to the air. So I could sit outside. The building was called 3 stories tall, and I could look up at the sky at night, very quiet. Beautiful, beautiful room. And he did the check-in experience in the room. There was a bottle of water and a bowl of fruit waiting for me, some souvenirs to take home, the whole bit. Like beautiful, beautiful room. Definitely enjoyed the property. As you know, the downside to the Mr. and Mrs. Smith Hyatt partnership, redeeming on points, not the best value, but I did earn points for the stay. And the rate wasn't that bad. It was actually a lot cheaper than staying at the Park Hyatt or the Fairmont, which look like beautiful properties online, but they're 20 minutes outside of town, and I was only going to be there for the night. Definitely would recommend one of the riads downtown.
What'd you get up to for your 18 hours outside of the hotel? Do a bit of walking about? You hire a quick walking tour guide? What'd you do?
I thought about hiring a guide. I kind of just, because I've never been there, I kind of just wanted to explore, and so I sort of got half of both. My wife wanted some argan oil. It's a massage and hair oil that
I was about to ask, and what is that?
Yeah, it's native to that area. It's from a tree in the area, and it's generally speaking pretty expensive unless you're buying it there. Saffron was on her list, as well as mint tea, all things that are germane to that area. And so I mentioned something to the gentleman who was there when I arrived. He was the host and my contact for most of the time there. He's like, yes, there's some stores nearby. We'll be happy to show you. And I dropped all my stuff off, took a quick shower to wake myself up, and walked out front. The markets are called the souks, and they're roughly divided. So there were some that were focused on textiles, some were focused on spices, things like that. As you got closer to the main square, it was much more commercialized and much more of a mix of things. But what ended up happening was I did get my guided walking tour without paying for it, because they just essentially dispatched the employee that helped me get my bags to the hotel, and he led me around the markets. So he showed me a few places to go try to buy spices. The first couple places, the prices were too high. I had a lot of fun haggling.
Is that because his brother ran the stall? The guy,
I definitely felt like when they brought me to the first one, I was like, wow, these prices are higher than what Google is saying. I wonder if I'm being played. And so I left, and he's like, look, if those prices are too high, let me show you some other places. So to his credit, he did show me some other stalls where they were much more willing to negotiate. Like, he kept leading me around, and it was a little bit awkward. It was great because he was pointing things out, asking me what I wanted to look for. I don't know how long he would have stayed with me, but finally, when I made it to the main square, Jamal al-Fana, it was, dark at that point, and I just, I wanted to grab some food, and I said, hey, I'm going to grab some dinner. I'll be back at the hotel later. And he's like, are you sure you can find your way? And I said, yep. And I mean, it was very labyrinthian. I mean, tons of different alleyways and stuff like that. But then I just strolled the square for a while. It was, I mean, there were like bits of commercialism, like soccer jerseys for sale and stuff like that, and people, drones and light shows. But for the most part, it was a lot of fun, and I found the markets a mix of commercialized and authentic. I had a couple of long conversations with some folks. They showed me different spices, things like that. So that's effectively what I did for the evening. The restaurant area in the main square, they're very aggressive about eating, and if you say no, I've already eaten, oh well, let me show you my menu for tomorrow. Like, they're very, very aggressive. And while you're sitting eating,
menu is today.
Yeah, exactly right. And then they're bringing by like dessert carts, and remember me when you're done eating, I want to sell you dessert. And so, like, if you're not comfortable with that, they're not going to like grab you or anything like that, but they are very much going to keep pestering you unless you walk with purpose. A lot of places in New York City. I don't think you would have any problems, telling people politely to, give you some leeway.
Got it. I have to say, like, people, Morocco's become high on the, I call it the New York City circle wedding list. Like several Bilt employees this year have gone, even this fall, have gone to Morocco for weddings. And it seems like, I don't think they're going, I'm sure they probably do the Old Town and everything, but they're staying in these amazing riads and hotels, and their pictures in these wedding venues. And I'm like, okay, like, this is somewhere that I do need to go and visit.
Yeah.
And check it out.
Yeah. And while I can't compare like the Park Hyatts of the world to the riads, I was really thankful I did the riad experience. It was, it had a fitness center, which surprised me because my hotel in Lisbon, which we'll talk about next week, did not. But it was very personable. Like, 5 minutes after the guy got done giving me the tour of my room in the building, somebody knocked on my door with a plate of local, hors d'oeuvres, appetizers, as a welcome. That as soon as I walked in and sat down, they had a plate of mint tea and cookies for me to sit beside the little waiting pool that was in the lobby. Like, it was incredibly personable. They were willing to answer any questions I had. I felt very comfortable there. There was a fireplace in the room for when it got colder, which it was beautiful. I was there about 80 degrees. But I really, like, the property really succeeded. And where it really crushed it for me, a lot of these riads have restaurants on the roof. And, for me, this was probably just as much as the walking through the markets and experiencing the hustle and bustle, the being up on the roof in the morning, eating breakfast, sort of looking out over the city, was just a great experience. It was the way they had the roof designed. It was like 4 or 5 different rooftop areas. So, like, the area they sat me in, there were no other tables nearby me. There were people, I could see them, but they were, 40, 50 feet away from me. They couldn't hear me, I couldn't hear them. I could, kind of sort of see them around the corner. It just felt like a very exclusive single table restaurant on the roof of the hotel.
Nice. The experiences you're going for. I was just checking out, I recalled Royal Air Morocco flies nonstop here to New York City. So I was looking at the mileage rate here, and it looks through Alaska, because they're now in the One World, correct? Mm-hmm. Some pretty reasonable redemptions here, to take off and check out. Let's see. Economy 27,500 Alaska miles or 22,500 American miles for the nonstop. Very short. That's blocked at 6 hours and 55 minutes. So probably means like 6 hours flying time. Probably fine with that in economy for a nonstop flight to Morocco. So maybe it's on the list for the Kerr household.
Yeah, I almost booked Iraq a couple of years ago as a way to get to the show in Lisbon. They used to have some funky sort of like, it was a very funky business class. They were like one over the top of the other. And they definitely have a much more traditional business class now. I always forget the names of the different, herringbone, reverse herringbone, stuff like that. But, you got very similar to the Polaris style recliner facing the window angled, and then two seats in the middle where two people with the divider down could, sort of like eat side by side facing each other. So definitely looks like a business class product I would consider for the future. I don't think people think about Morocco as a jumping off spot, but it's so close to Europe that, if you did have a nonstop flight to Casablanca that you could take, which we do at a Dulles as well, I definitely think it's a reasonable option to get to Europe to explore for a few days. They don't have quite they do have some ability to stop over there. It's not as I recall, it's not as flexible as TAP is with the 5-day stopover in Lisbon or Porto on going and on the way back. But when I was building fares in previous years, it was allowing me to stay in Casablanca for a day or two before I headed on to Lisbon on some of the flights I was trying to book. Those were paid fares. So
I was just checking out I love the Alaska flexible travel date. Business class on the nonstop, pretty wide open after you get past the new year. I don't know if January, February is the off season. Not up to date on my Morocco weather, but I would pretty decent here. The tax and fees a little stingy. 55,000 miles for business, which is great, but $292 per person, which is a bit yucky.
It's like the new normal. I mean, yeah.
But going that way, usually, coming back, I get it, but kind of yucky. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely higher than the U.S. carriers for sure. And I think, you definitely have to think about points and miles as well as the currency as two separate currencies, like you said, because, if you could find that flight, not that United flies it, I think they fly Marrakesh. I don't think they fly Casablanca nonstop, or at least not from Dulles. But there's going to be, if you can find saver 70 or 80,000 with, virtually no fees, $5 one way sort of thing.
All right. How'd you get home all the way back to DC from Morocco?
Yeah, I took United back through Lisbon after my conference was over. I figure since we got the Bilt stuff to get to, let's talk Lisbon maybe next week if our schedules permit it. But TLDR on Morocco, at least the one day in Marrakesh, absolutely would say you should put on your list. Absolutely worth exploring with the family. I think you've got so many different spots that you can jump off to, Fez and Casablanca, and obviously a lot of southwestern Europe that are easy jumping off points to combine into a trip. So I would absolutely say put it on the Kerr list. And I would say, for folks that are listening and watching, I think it's a place to definitely put on your radar.
Awesome.
All right. Well, quick break to talk about our sponsors this week, which if all goes as planned, we'll have Kyle from Thrifty Traveler on next week. But again, Thrifty Traveler sponsoring the show this week. I got to say, a couple of really cool deals this week. I actually used one for friends. I tried to book it for myself, but did you see the Taipei nerd alert that popped up?
I did not. I mean, I don't have all the airports turned on like you. I can't.
Yeah, I do have all the airports turned on. So Taipei is this sort of unique destination from a points and miles standpoint, in that Delta serves it out of Seattle, but those flights are rarely full, and that was how we were able to get to Tokyo earlier this year. So when I see a nerd alert pop up for Taipei, it's like, all right, well, that's cool because I know I can get to Taipei fairly easily. So there's a nerd alert that I used to book for someone else, a friend of mine that was trying to get to Singapore. It was 15,000 Air France KLM flying Blue Miles one way. And they had Kuala Lumpur, Shanghai. There were 6 or 7 different destinations that were all relatively affordable in business class out of Taipei. So that was a pretty cool nerd alert this week that I was able to take advantage of. I was trying to use it to piece together for a trip I'm trying to plan for March, but I couldn't get the dates to work on it. The other one that was interesting for me, I know you and I wouldn't necessarily be thrilled to take this, but 32,000 miles round trip in domestic coach to Hawaii, which I consider a pretty screaming deal for folks who are trying to get to Hawaii. There were West Coast and East Coast flights. So you had Atlanta, Seattle, Salt Lake City, a bunch of different places, and these were mostly Delta flights, but I mean, a solid deal. And then we haven't talked a lot about their hotel program, but if you're signing up for Thrifty Traveler Premium, it does come with the hotel deals. The big hotel deal that I saw this week, I know you and I've talked about the Maldives as a place where we think maybe the juice might not be worth the influence or squeeze in terms of how long to get there. But French Polynesia, Tahiti, certainly a lot easier to get to without those expensive flight transfers once you arrive on site. And in a moment of maybe odd weakness or value in the Hilton program right now, Hilton Morea Lagoon for 95,000 points a night, which is a hotel that typically goes for about $1,000 a night. So 95,000 Hilton points when, it's 65,000 Hilton points for a reasonable domestic room in the U.S. was a pretty solid deal.
Yes, indeed. Do you think you have not been, correct?
No, I booked.
Do you think you're ever going to go?
Yes. Maldives or Tahiti?
Maldives.
I gotta be honest, this is gonna make me sound older than I am, but I'm in my 50s. So, am I gonna go to the Maldives in my 70s? Maybe. But I'm not gonna go until my kids are out of high school. So I think the chances are getting smaller and smaller. I definitely think I'll do Tahiti because I think it's, easier and cheaper. But I'm not sure I'll make it to the Maldives.
Yeah, I've said it a million times, I think, on the podcast, but so far, one and done for the curse.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to be talking a little bit more about this next week, but 2 newsletters that I signed up for folks that want more info. You don't need to sign up for a paid subscription for these. Thrifty Traveler Daily Beat and their Extra Mile newsletters. I've got links to those in the show notes. And if you want to save $20 off a new subscription, thriftytraveler.com/premium. Use the code GO20, and I have been a subscriber for, 4 or 5 years now. And continue to get just an immense amount of value out of this. All right, Mr. Kerr, speaking of immense amounts of value, we missed you last week because there were lots of Bilt stuff going on. You were keeping us very busy. One of those things was sort of like a leaked announcement from a few weeks ago about Bilt and the Rakuten partnership, which is now official, and then some really good news on mortgages. So it's time for you to shine, not just on the top of your head, but in making people's mileage balances more attractive.
Heyo, yeah. We have certainly kept folks busy over the last few weeks if you're in the loyalty and credit space for covering kinds of things. And I made a joke in my last briefing email about hire a staff writer just to cover us because we're not slowing down anytime soon. So we'll get to the couple announcements. One, partnership with Rakuten is live. So our good friends at Rakuten were kind enough to twice get a false start for us and publish FAQ documents that should not have been published. So that was fun, but it built up the hype a little bit. So some good unintended consequences. But yes, you can now pick to earn Bilt points, or you can choose still Amex points, or you can still choose your cash back here in the United States. Right now it is, 1 for 1 for all Bilt members, at least for the next 6 months. So, $10 of cash back is 1,000 points. And actually everybody's quarterly payouts just happened just a couple days ago. And we got in right under the line for that. So I had $75 pending from a Verizon order of setting up the internet service here in New York. And I got 7,500 Bilt points into my account. We had 1.4 million deposits of Bilt points from Rakuten Go last week, which tells you how many people have very quickly jumped on board this train and got excited about it.
Wow.
We had 1.4 million deposits with 0 errors last week, ladies and gentlemen, which is massive for that to happen. So folks obviously really excited about it. The one question obviously is, what's going to happen after the 6-month intro period for the earning rate. We've already said, hey, if you have Bilt status, any level, silver, gold, or platinum, you'll continue to earn 1-to-1 just like it is. Mm-hmm. So, hey, that's another fantastic reason for you guys to earn Bilt status if we haven't gotten your loyalty yet. But the short answer is that's just a minimal. We don't exactly know when we're going to flip the switch or what switch we're going to flip. So, keep an eye on that. But, in the meantime, you have 6 months to earn at least silver status, which, the next announcement should hopefully make it a little bit easier for everybody to do that, which is, we previously announced our partnership with United Wholesale Mortgage, largest mortgage originator in the country, that if you held one of their mortgages, you were going to be able to pay your rent. You're going to be able to pay your mortgage through Bilt and get points. But with the latest announcements of Bilt Card 2.0, I think a couple weeks by the time you listen to this ago, if you hold any of the new Bilt cards, you will be able to earn points on any mortgage in the United States, which, again, people have been looking for that. Huge, really excited about it. All the mechanics and everything will be announced in January, we've already said, for how these new cards are going to work. I'm really excited about it. Everybody's hitting me up from all sides. Are we going to be able to do this? What are the earning rates? You get that? Just know, ladies and gentlemen, that I don't think so far we've, this is a huge team effort, by the way. We are not going to put anything bad out into market. So like, just keep that in mind, right? There's wild speculation, which is just providing me really honestly great entertainment because people are like, I read this, I heard this, I read that. And I'm like, literally the only thing we have officially put out is my Reddit post and the email, which mirrored the Reddit post mirrored the email. So beyond that, if you are reading or hearing anything, it has not come from us, which means you're just reading wild armchair speculation, which again, great entertainment to see what people just know is going to happen and what people just, all this kind of stuff. So we will not put anything that we are not 100% confident in being widely appreciated and successful into the market. And anything that you're reading that didn't come from the Reddit post or from the email is just wild speculation that has any kind of, true data or announcement or information behind it. But really excited about the next few months. We have a lot coming on the travel side, man. It's just great. But happy to earn Rakuten points. Happy for folks to get excited about earning points on mortgage. Again, any mortgage in the United States if you're one of the 3 card holders. So plenty of goodness to come. And it's going to continue to be just a wildly busy winter.
Yeah, you continue to tease us about the rest of the mortgage details, which I certainly can't wait for. I've already requalified for my Bilt Platinum status for next year. I know I'm a homer before it, but I just get a ton of value out of it. And I continue to book, all my airfare through the Bilt portal now and started messing around with hotel rooms and home away from home. Can't wait for you guys to expand that program. So I was sadly not able to defeat the geofencing of the Rakuten website from Europe while I was over there, even with a VPN. So I was not able to change over my earning because I needed to change my email address to match my Bilt account. So I did get just plain old cash back this time, but I'm looking forward to a Black Friday shopping spree haul when the next deposit comes through from Rakuten. 1.4 million deposits. It's pretty massive, man.
Scale of the business and the numbers that we're seeing now is just not real, especially being here since the start when like we took tequila shots in the office when we processed $100,000 of rent. Like we thought that was I think we're literally doing that every second now around the 5-day period of the first of the month with how much we're processing. So it's exciting. It's often nerve-wracking now because you're looking at like this many real people is pretty wild.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree. All right, well, a quick shout out for our Slack community. We got a bunch of new members that have signed up. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone, but Chris F., Rusty, White Cubs back for a second time. Paul.
Got him back. You love to see the repeat customers. Love
it. You do. Yes, you do. Robert and Gavin B., all newcomers to Slack. And really appreciate everybody's support of the show through that. That definitely helps us do some fun stuff. For folks who are thinking about where they want to be in December, one more meetup. This one's available to anybody in the public. I'll be speaking at Zorkfest in Las Vegas at the beginning of December 5th and 6th.
You get Ed and Gary at Zorkfest. Wow, that is worth the price of admission right there.
Well, you get Ed and Gary on the same stage. Apparently, they have billed me as a travel expert on the same level as Gary to be on session with him, which I feel like he's going to run circles around me on stage. So should be interesting.
That's a good-looking stage right there, if I've ever seen one.
Oh,
just a couple of good-looking specimens up there on the stage.
Yeah, that part will be interesting. It will rival the stage at the Treasure Island Zorkfest where you and I recorded for the very first time, Mr. Kerr. Still very near and dear to my heart.
Many moons ago.
Many, many moons ago. Well, that was pre-COVID, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're old.
By a long shot.
Yeah, well, I'm old. You're middle-aged. All right, so when we're done recording, when this goes live, you'll be out of the country.
Not yet. That evening, I will. Yeah. By the time you're listening to this, you can think about, I'm so happy I'll listen to this and know that tonight, if all things go as planned, which, 50-50 that I'm actually going to take this trip. Yeah. We'll see. I should probably book a flight, right? I think we're in the winter. The winter schedule now. Where capacity to Dublin has been cut significantly through my initial flight searches. Where I'm like, oh wow, we're only down to 3 nonstops a day from New York now. Like that's going to be a little yucky. So I think I should probably book something pretty quick here. But you can think about me, going off to the airport here in New York City to fly the very short, disgusting 5-hour. It's so like. That's what I don't want to do. I actually thought about taking the daytime flight on Wednesday so I could just stay normal and then Thursday morning hop from London to Dublin. But I have to be in the office all of Wednesday. I can't do that. So like 5-hour red eye to then maybe go and not have the hotel let you check in because you're landing at some god awful. Like I don't want to do it, man. Like I want to do it because it's actually really cool what we're going to do, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah. No, so the conference I attend in Lisbon used to be in Dublin, and man, I mean that red eye flight is just such a painful flight. Like the only thing worse is going like Vegas to Houston or Vegas to O'Hare.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna be a hot
best
mess.
case scenario on that flight, I get 2 hours of sleep. Best case scenario. At that point,
Yeah.
it's just not even worth it. And then if I had, maybe it's one of those times where you book the night before, tell the hotel, don't put me as a no-show. I'm going to be there like 7 a.m., have the room ready for me, and I just, crash for 5 hours. That, and not even worry about trying to sleep on the plane. I don't know, but we'll take your tips and suggestions.
Well, I mean, and I don't know. I mean, how long are you going to be over there?
2 nights.
Yeah, I mean that's painful. I'm not sure if I would try and sleep on it or not. I mean, you tend to like to leave earlier, and if I remember correctly, there's like early departures in like the 7 o'clock range, and then I think there's one late flight out of Newark, like a 10 or an 11 or something like that.
There's the 7:55 departure and then 10:15 departure.
Are you at least gonna be smart enough to take the 10:15?
No, absolutely not. I don't. That's miserable to me. Waiting around all day. It's like, no, let's go. Let's get it over with. Let's just go. I'm not going to sit around and think about it.
If you're going to take the 7 p.m., then I would just say don't sleep.
No, probably not.
Because what are you going to do? Like you get up in the air, it's 9:30, 10 o'clock, and it's time to sleep, and you've got 2.5 hours of flight time left.
Actually, let's check out the actual flight time on this. It's UA flight 23. Let's see the actual flight time here on FlightAware. Let's see. Recently, over the last week, we have done, it's like 6 hours and 16 minutes of wheels up to wheels down for that. So
lob 30 minutes off the front and 45 minutes off the back for no sleeping time. So now you're down to
way more than that for me, dude. I'm so wired. Like I can't just like, all right, turn it off, go to sleep. Like it's not me. Like I'm what's going on? Let me look over here. What's that? And I'm like, no, it's at best case scenario, 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah, no, I mean, so my Lisbon departure was like a 10 p.m. departure. I mean, we hadn't leveled off, and I was already laying down flat and going to sleep. So I didn't get that's a relatively short flight as well. It's probably 6 hours and 40 minutes, but I mean, I think I got a solid 5+ hours.
I'm trying to see why there's one flight last week that's 11 hours and 48 minutes. Oh, here it is. Oh, man. What in the world? Sunday, November 9th. Flight 23 departed the gate at 7:52 p.m. at Newark.
Oh,
guess what time it took off?
7:52 departed the gate. I'm going to say it took off at midnight.
2:02 a.m.
Oh.
6 hours and 10 minutes of taxi time. How and why is that? Like, what? Like, there's no way. What actually happened there? Hopefully this, like, you can't do that to people. Like, there's just no way. Like, that's disgusting, man.
That's brutal.
Man.
That is brutal.
Jeez.
I mean, they probably had, if you taxi for 6 hours, you probably had to top off gas.
Or
like, be timing off pilots.
They probly went back to the gate and did a crew swap. Like, they didn't sit out there for, I don't know. I don't know, man. All right, anyways, it's a busy Sunday here in the Kerr household, and I, unfortunately, Mr. Pizzarello, not tell you goodbye, but tell you see you later.
I mean, very formal, Mr. Pizzarello. Okay, all right. Well, Mr. Kerr.
Yes.
Goodbye and see you later. I hope you enjoy your brief stop in Dublin. I hope you get adequate amount of sleep, and I hope to see you soon because I missed your Bilt meetup while I was overseas. So you need to schedule another one soon. But we need to find time to be in the same city again somewhere, or maybe a theme park. One of those sorts of things. Healthy diet of Vegas travel for me for the next handful of weeks, shockingly. So we'll recap the rest of my trip, including Lisbon adventures and plenty of great pastry in Lisbon while I was there. But until we upload again, we've got miles to go.
We're just dominating these pronunciations here. This is great. Keep going. Don't stop. Keep going.
Old white guy tries to pronounce anything foreign.